In this video I will make a wall coat hanger with pallet wood. First I dismantle two pallet boards. I look for the remaining pieces of nail in the boards and I get rid of them. I don't need more boards that long, so I can use the jigsaw to cut the other boards. So to make this wall hanger I will put 4 boards like this, and I bought these wooden pieces that I will put in the end of the boards. I need more distance between the boards, so I will put there some narrow pallet wood strips. This is one of the long pallet boards I've recovered. I've already cut it some centimeters longer than the wall hanger width. It will be the shelf. So first I cut the edge of 3 short boards. And now I cut the 3 narrow pallet strips that I need. Now I draw a semicircle in the end of the board. The radius is half the width of the board. And I draw the semicircle in the other end. And I use the jigsaw to cut them. Now I use this board to draw the semicircles in the other 3 boards. I must make sure I draw the semicircles in the shortest board. Otherwise, I cannot use it as a template to draw the semicircles in the other boards. So now I have 4 boards, plus 3 narrow pallet strips. Now I have to cut the narrow pallet strips as long as the distance from the beginning of one semicircle to the beginning of the other semicircle, from here to here. I use the sander to sand the semicircles and the edge of the boards. I've already cut the narrow pallet strips, so I also sand them. I number all the pieces so I can order them. And now I will drill some holes to join the boards with dowels. First I use a 6 mm drill bit to drill 4 holes in the edge of the narrow pallet strips. Now I clamp that pallet board to the edge of my work table. And I also clamp that piece of board at 90 degrees with the other one. Now there is a difference in length between the wide boards and the narrow pallet boards. And this small block is half that difference. So I put there the first wide board. I put the dowel centers in the holes in the edge of the first narrow pallet board. I put there the wooden block. I put the end of the first narrow pallet board against the block, and I press the edge against the dowel centers. I put the dowel centers in the other edge of the narrow pallet board. And I press the next wide board against the dowel centers. Now I move the block to the next position. I put the dowel centers in the edge of the next board. And I repeat the same process until I make all the marks I need. And I drill the dowel holes in the marks I made. Sometimes I drill too fast and that can cause some tear out in the dowel holes, so I had to use the cutter to cut the splinters. It is better if first I drill slowly, and once I have drilled the beginning of the dowel hole, then I keep drilling faster. Now I sand all the pallet boards, making sure I don't lose the order. So I number them in the edge after I sand them. I sand everything with medium grit sandpaper, making sure there are any splinter left in the pieces. So now I can make the dowel joints. I didn't use the jointer to join the edges, so they are not perfectly straight, so I want to use clamps to press the dowel joints. But I will use these homemade bar clamps to make sure this piece is flat after the glue dries. A couple of metallic clamps helps to press the boards. Now I measure where to put the shelf. I draw one line, and I also draw one line centered in the edge of the shelf board. Now on the line I draw on the boards, I mark the center of each board. I center the shelf on the line. You can see the shelf is 2 cm wider than the piece I made with the other boards. I put the tip of the pencil on the marks I made in the middle of the boards, and with the help of that block I move the marks to the line I made in the edge of the shelf. Now in the first board and in the last board I make a mark at some centimeters from the pencil line. There I will drill 2 holes to hang the coat hanger on the wall. I also mark where to put these pieces. I will use just one screw to attach them. So I measure from the end of the boards, and I also center the mark in the boards. Now I can drill in the marks I made in the edge of the shelf. I also drill the guide holes to attach the shelf to the wall coat hanger. To drill the shelf, I've used this drill bit to insert these screws. To screw the coat hanger to the wall, I use this drill bit and these screws. They are some bigger than the ones I've used before. Now these are the screws to attach these pieces. The problem is that I should cut them, so not sure they will attach hard the wooden pieces to the boards. So instead I will use these screws. I just have to drill a guide hole in the wooden pieces. There are insert nuts there, but I don't need to remove them. These are the screws I will use, and this is the drill bit I have used to drill the guide holes. But I will use a bigger drill bit to drill the boards. Now I will use a countersink drill bit to countersink all the holes I made in the boards. I countersink in the front the holes to hang the coat hanger on the wall. and I countersink the other holes in the back of the boards. Now I draw a triangle in that piece of board, and I use the jigsaw to cut it. I draw another identical triangle and I cut it. I sand both triangles and I sand the shelf. Now I use two screws to attach the shelf, and I will put the triangles there, centered on the narrow pallet boards. Like this, it is centered on the board. I mark where to put the screws. I must make sure the screws won't protrude the front of the triangles. I center the mark on the narrow board, and I move that mark perpendicularly until it cuts the mark I made before in the shelf, and I drill the guide holes. Now I insert one screw in the hole I made in the shelf, but just until the tip protrudes the other side. I center the triangle and I screw it, and I insert the other screw. And I do the same to screw the other triangle. I sand the turned wooden pieces. I dismantle the shelf and I apply woodworm killer. When the woodworm killer is dry, I put together all the pieces of this wall coat hanger. I varnish it. When the varnish is dry, I slightly sand everything. And I apply a second coat of varnish. And once it is dry, I can hang this wall coat hanger on the wall. If you like this wall coat hanger, don't forget to like and to share this video. Remember that you can find all my woodworking and DIY videos in my channel in YouTube. And if you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.